They laughed at a prophet, and moments later, they were dead. What kind of story begins with laughter and ends with blood on the ground? What kind of God sends two wild bears to tear apart a group of young people? And what could a holy man, Elisha, have possibly said to trigger such devastation? If you've never heard this story before, you're not alone. It's one of the most mysterious and shocking events in the entire Bible. Many pastors skip it, teachers downplay it, but the truth, it's right there in the pages of Scripture. In this video, we're going to uncover not just what happened, but why it happened, and why it still matters today. To understand this moment, we need to travel back in time. To a nation, Israel, on the edge of spiritual collapse. For years, the people had turned their backs on God. Idol worship, child sacrifice, and moral decay had infected every corner of society. The kings no longer honored God. The priests were silent. The prophets were hunted. And then came Elijah, the fiery prophet. He stood alone, calling down fire from heaven, confronting wicked kings, raising the dead. But now, Elijah was gone, taken by God in a whirlwind. No grave, no body, just a new prophet left in his place, Elisha. And that's where the tension begins. Elisha wasn't a known figure yet. He had inherited Elijah's mantle, yes, but not yet the people's respect. He was young, he was new, and he was heading into enemy territory, the city of Bethel. Bethel, once a sacred place in Israel's history, had become a spiritual wasteland. King Jeroboam had set up golden calves there to replace the worship of God. The city had embraced false prophets, pagan altars, and lawlessness. And from that corrupted place came the mockers. Says, a group of boys came out from the city and mocked him. But these weren't toddlers. The Hebrew word used, nar, means youths, or young men. Think teenagers, possibly even early adults. Not innocent children, but arrogant, aggressive young men raised in a godless culture. And listen to their words. Go up, you baldhead. Go up. What does that even mean? Go up, a mockery of Elijah's supernatural ascension. They were saying, why don't you float away too, fraud? Baldhead, in that culture, a cutting insult, possibly referencing shame, old age, or even calling him cursed. They weren't just teasing his appearance. They were mocking God's authority, his prophet, and his power. This wasn't playful. This was public spiritual rebellion. Picture it, dozens of rowdy, taunting voices. One man of God standing alone. A prophet freshly anointed, being ridiculed by the very people he was sent to save. And then, the turning point. Elisha stops. He turns around, and in the name of the Lord, not his own name, he curses them. It wasn't a violent curse. He didn't raise a hand. But heaven heard, and heaven answered. Two female bears came charging out of the nearby woods. They didn't scare them off. They didn't wound one or two. They mauled 42 of them. 42. The screams echoed across the hills. The mocking turned to blood. And suddenly, the people knew, Elisha wasn't a joke. And God wasn't playing games. This is where modern readers struggle. How could a loving God kill kids? But remember, these weren't innocent pranksters. They were young men raised in a culture of blasphemy. The same culture that burned children to Molech and laughed at truth. This story isn't about God being cruel. It's about God drawing the line. Mocking the messenger is mocking the one who sent him. And God wasn't about to let Elisha's ministry start with shame. He made a statement, a terrifying, unforgettable one. Do not mock my word. Do not touch my prophets. This judgment was surgical. It wasn't random. God didn't destroy the city. He didn't wipe out families. He struck down the instigators, the symbol of a deeper rot. Fast forward to today. We live in a culture that mocks God daily. Faith is ridiculed. Purity is laughed at. Truth is called hate. Preachers are memes. Scripture is twisted. Holiness is boring. But here's what we forget. God doesn't change. He may be patient, but he still guards his name. He still defends his word. And he still expects reverence. What happened in Bethel is a mirror to our times. A warning, a wake-up call. So what can we learn from this terrifying story? 1. Words matter. What we say about God, His servants, His truth, is heard in heaven. 2. Youth without truth becomes dangerous. A generation without spiritual roots becomes a mob. 3. God's mercy has limits. He warns, He waits, but He also judges. Elisha left that city with a heavy heart. Not because he hated those boys, but because he loved God more than comfort. The bears weren't his idea, but they were a part of God's justice. And today, we have a choice. Will we be like the boys of Bethel, laughing at what's sacred? Or like Elisha, standing firm in a mocking world? Because one thing is certain, God is not to be mocked.